So we reading?
Yeah. So we wanted to, first of all, thank everybody for coming out here today. We really appreciate your time. Let's get a round of applause for everybody that came out here today. So we have Indivisible groups from San Bernardino Mountains, from Victor Valley, from Barstow, from the Morongo Basin. I've heard that there's a Highland group here. I didn't even know we had a Highland group, but welcome if the Highland group is here. All right. Indivisible, if you're not familiar with this movement, it's a nationwide, grassroots, nonpartisan. Please welcome your Never Trump Republican friends to come as well. All right. Group that is dedicated to resisting the Trump agenda by asserting pressure on our representatives in Congress to listen to their constituents and act on their behalf. Representative Cook, obviously, is the most immediate congressional representative we have here in the 8th District. Matt Knox, one of his staffers, has agreed to talk to us today. Here's some of our concerns. We wanted to start off with a letter that many of us have signed. We have 3 full pages of signatures here that folks have signed on to this letter that we drafted. It's been approved by the leadership for all the Indivisible groups that are here today.
Say being a Muslim is not about what country you're from, but a complete way of life.
I am a military widow. When I saw that they were turning away translators who had gone through 2 full years of vetting, were on the plane to come and join their families, and they landed and were told they couldn't come, I couldn't help myself. I wept. Not only for the person, but for what it's doing to our troops in the Middle East.
Yes, exactly.
They're putting our troops in such danger. And my God, it's such a wonderful story for ISIS to be, look, see how grateful they are, see how they repay your kindness. We are going to suffer from this. Anyway, I just want you to know I think this is a terrible thing to do to our military, and that he is supporting it appalls me more than I can tell you. He's supposed to be good on the military.
I'd like to just say something on behalf of the Victor Valley Indivisible group that we have here. We just got started about a week ago, and we have about 40 or 50 people with our group today, and many of them whom are here, and others can add to this, but I mean, just to make a few bullet points, I wanted to say something positive to start with, and that is that I know that whenever I receive a communication from Representative Cook, it's always Colonel Paul Cook retired. He served this country, he's been in the military, he's very proud of that, I can tell, and I'm sure he defended this country, and I'm sure he swore an oath more than once to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. So it blows my mind a little bit that he has to wonder about offering not lukewarm support, even lukewarm support for something that is so obviously against the Constitution and all the core values of our country. I have 5 bullet points, and I actually already covered the last one. I guess I'm doing them in reverse order, but she said it's dangerous. John McCain, the Republican senator, said this is the greatest tool that we could be giving ISIS and those who would recruit terrorists to attack our country, because it makes it clear it's a war about religion. There is just no doubt. I mean, we're giving them the greatest gift we could give them. It's self-serving. It's politically motivated. I mean, all the countries that are interdicted by this are countries that have not sent any terrorists, but then the countries that are left off the list, like Saudi Arabia, are countries in which our president has massive business holdings. I mean, it's so obviously self-serving on the part of the current administration that, you know, we see through that. We're voters, we see through that. It's ineffective. There is no evidence at all that this is going to make us safer, stop any terrorism. It's quite the opposite. And it's unnecessary, as who pointed out, that the vetting process, it goes on for a couple of years for refugees that we already have. So that, and it's unconstitutional on its face. So if Colonel Paul Cook needs to really think about the oath that he swore and think about protecting and defending the Constitution of the country, not the administration of the current president, but the Constitution that he swore to protect. Anyway, that's my...
Why are we blaming a religion for murderers? Okay, these people have nothing to do with religion. All right? There's a difference. There's terrorists and there's a religion. They're not the same thing.
We don't blame Christians when they blow up abortion.
answer. Yeah.
Yeah, about the green card situation, there's several different avenues that Congress can use to approach that. I mean, obviously, the ideal method would be to work with the administration to ensure that the executive order is clarified to just, well, you guys can bring it in. So,
Yeah, let's bring it in.
So
Make sure we've got a pathway, but let's bring it in.
Congress could pass legislation if working with the administration isn't fruitful. Those are basically the tools at the disposal of Congress.
Is the congressman proposing that legislation?
We're still trying to find clarification from the administration about what all the different aspects of the executive order entail.
This is an urgent matter. Is he working urgently on it?
Yes.
I have a little bit, the crowd you're seeing here today isn't anywhere near all those who would like to have been here. There are a lot of people who have to work, who have family obligations or medical procedures that have to be completed. I was sent something by one of them this morning. It's a photograph of a woman holding a sign. She happens to be the widow of somebody who was slain in San Bernardino during the attack. And she wants to express the reality that although the news media would love to keep San Bernardino upset, the gun industry would be delighted if everybody would go buy self-protection, that the people who are closest to this tragedy are not against Muslims or against immigration or even against refugees. That they are, as it says there, willing to forgive, because we'll never forget, but we can forgive. Also, when we're told that this is a temporary ban, it has a lot of echoes to us older people who remember that as being the excuse that was used for the temporary quartering and division of Jews in Nazi Germany. Amen. Temporary means nothing today because we're getting inured. We are being inured with constant stream of what's known as alternative facts, which we interpret immediately as lies, and that temporary is indefinite. We're not amused, we're not fooled. Representative Cook has the opportunity to join our senators from the state of California in passing a legislation that would forbid the president to act arbitrarily with an executive order in the manner that he did with this ban. I suggest that he join that effort.
Cook, I just read your press release regarding your statement on the Trump immigration ban. I am disgusted with your wholehearted acceptance of this illegal ban and find it despicable that a retired colonel in the United States military would hold such a position, knowing full well the propaganda that will put our armed forces all around the world in harm's way, and you know it. Be it known that now and forever I will hold you responsible for every death that results from your careless disregard for human life, by your full acceptance of this ban, and by standing behind and lifting up a fascist dictator, Donald Trump. You know full well what is happening to the United States, and your name, along with every other representative in our government who supports this form of governing, will go down in history as traitors to the Constitution of the United States of America. Let me add, I'm a 72-year-old great-grandmother who has never missed voting in an election since I was 21 years old. And let it be add, I have never in my life ever been witness to the idiocy of a governing body of representatives such as the Republican Party. Never. In my opinion, your once distinguished career is now without honor.
I just have a question. Does Representative Cook know that his constituents, represented here and others, are very passionate about this issue? And is he willing to respond in a manner that will give us some satisfaction?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if the answer that he's going to give you is going to be what you're looking for, certainly, but yeah, obviously we understand that a lot of people are passionate about this. Our office has been getting tons of phone calls about it, so yeah, it's a very controversial topic.
And when can we expect his response or comments based on the wishes of his constituents?
As far as regarding this issue,
This particular
he's issued his statement regarding his position on the executive orders. So I mean, he's communicated clearly his position.
Will there be anything else forthcoming?
As far as
A response to the letter.
Just to be
Okay.
clear, our ask here today is for him to change his mind by Friday, or he can expect us coming back on a regular and frequent
okay,
basis.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't talked to him since
Okay.
we've met today, so obviously
If you can express that, that'd
Yeah.
be great.
So.
I have two things. I have a letter that's just on behalf of myself to submit, and I also have a question. Typically, when a group like this reaches out to our representative, we should be afforded some kind of direct response.
Yes.
And so we would additionally like to have a direct response that can be shared with this group via email in our contact list,
Okay.
so that we know that he actually is responding to our letter. I also have a letter that I'll not read entirely, but I'm a professor of history who happens to study immigration and citizenship law and Japanese American history. And forbidding people from entering this country based on their national origins goes back to our practices of the 19th century. During the Cold War in 1965, we stopped doing that. Congress passed a law that ended national origins as the standard to bar people from coming to this country because it was counter to our efforts in the Cold War. It was known then that it would actually be disingenuous for us as a country that spreads democracy and that stands for freedom than to bar people who are seeking refuge into this country simply based on national origins. And to be clear, national origins was a legal euphemism for race. We cannot go back to the 19th century. This is abhorrent and ridiculous. So this is my letter, and I'd like a response to my letter as well. Thank you.
Yep.
Something I've learned today, just talking to a few people. I think the congressman would be remiss doing himself a disservice if he feels that the people here does not contain people who voted for him. There are people who voted for him here today as well as those who didn't. And secondly, I remember the congressman on occasion would take on President Obama for executive actions. And that he was bypassing the Congress. That he was, I don't think he used the word dictator, that's a strong word, but he was asserting his authority by passing laws with a signature.
Correct.
He has not taken that stand with President Trump. I have always been a person that can accept an argument back and forth on an issue, but I can't stand hypocrisy. This is hypocrisy at its maximum. And it's across the whole Congress. On the Republican side, even on the Democratic side, there are some who won't stand and speak. Don't give us hypocrisy. Take a position, stay with it, and you'll have our respect.
Matt, I'd just like to make a comment. We met with you a few weeks ago. We're meeting with you now. We're presenting you with specific concerns of ours as a constituent. I have not seen you take one note in order to respond to the specific concerns that we are presenting. Perhaps you have the world's best memory, but we haven't received any responses, and we'd like to receive specific responses for what we're talking about today and our previous meeting and the meetings to come. Thank you.
Okay.
Got a pen in your ear, not taking notes.
Okay.
It's disturbing.
Can I ask